There are many top 10 and top 5 lists all over the internet. You can watch any video you want about any system there is, especially the NES. But this top 5 list is going to be a little different. Stay tuned. Released in 1985, the Nintendo Entertainment System has a library of over 600 games. Some are terrific games and some are downright terrible. Top 5 and top 10 lists normally make up almost the same games every single time. I wanted to go ahead and make this list just a little bit different. This is a more personal top 5 list. And when I say that, what I mean is that these are my go-to games. So whenever I sit down to play NES, sit down with a friend to play NES, there's always a few games that are instantly grabbed off the shelf to play. These are those top 5 games. The first game I always grab every single time is Mega Man 2. Mega Man 2 was released by Capcom in 1988. While an improvement over the original, it gives so much more to the game, it takes away nothing. Mega Man 2 is easily my favorite of all the Mega Man games that have been produced so far, and by a lot of people's standards, it is the best in the series. The next game that is always on pretty much every top 10 or top 5 list is, of course, the always great Super Mario Bros. The original Super Mario Bros. Was a release game with the NES back in 1985. The game starts you right away, with little backstory except if you read the instruction booklet, but the gameplay is fluid and makes sense right away and is very easy to learn. It's been one of my favorite pick-up-and-go NES games. Elevator Action was a 1983 Taito release in arcades. While the gameplay is quite simple, it does seem very much like an action game at first, while it slowly becomes a puzzle game as each building gets a little more difficult to get out of quickly without getting hurt by the enemies all around you. The next game in our lineup is Kirby's Adventure, one of the later NES games. It came out in 1993, 2 years after the Super NES was already released. The game was produced by Nintendo and HAL, and it is the first Kirby game where they introduced the copy mechanic when Kirby would swallow an enemy and be able to use his powers. The game, surprisingly, is a longer game and has great enemies, is really fun, and just a great joy to play. And the last game on my top 5 is River City Ransom. River City Ransom was released by Technos in 1989. While the game does share the beat-em-up mechanics with games like Double Dragon, the RPG-type elements of leveling up your characters became apparent really quickly in the game, and the game's always a lot of fun. It's also one of my favorite co-op games on the NES, where it's just a lot of fun to play with a friend and just try to get through the whole game. And at the end of the list here, we do have 3 honorable mentions. The first game would be the original TMNT game for the NES. While the game is difficult to a lot of people, the game is also a lot of fun, and graphically it looks terrific. The next game on this list of mentions is DuckTales. It is a lot of fun. I never did quite get used to the pogo stick mechanic, and still haven't. And the last mention is going to be Little Nemo. It's a quirky game, which is actually a lot of fun once you get into it, and it's quite lengthy of a game as well. So how about you? What's your top 5 NES games that you like to play? Put them down in the comments below. I love to check them out and hear from you guys what are your favorite games to play every single time. As always guys, thumbs up if you like the video. If you haven't subscribed, please do. That'd be really appreciated. And as always, I'll see you next time.